When you hear the name Donald Trump, there are usually only two reactions. People either love him or they absolutely can't stand him. But one thing is certain, no one is indifferent to him. And that lack of indifference is a clue to the mind of someone who isn't just a politician. He's a brand, a phenomenon, an unusual psychological equation. In this video, we're not here to praise him or attack him. We're here to understand how a personality can influence a nation, the media, and even the world. Because before he was president, Trump was a story. Trump is the kind of person who, when he walks into a room, the air changes. Many people think it's just excessive confidence, but the truth is much more complex. Trump has what psychologists call narcissistic dominance, not just simple self-love, but a combination of an intense need to be seen, extreme competitiveness, and an unwavering belief in personal power. He doesn't just like himself, he treats himself as his life's main project. That means every criticism feels like a threat, every failure feels like an insult, and every victory becomes proof of being chosen. Some psychologists say Trump carries what's known as a grandiose self. Not merely I'm good, but I'm the center of this game. And here's the interesting part. When this type of self-image mixes with high social intelligence, it becomes fuel. Trump has exactly that mix. He can read a crowd, sense the unconscious needs of people, and hit the exact emotional button they respond to. That's why he always says, I know what people want. Not out of arrogance, but from a lifetime spent in entertainment, business, and psychological warfare. Before politics, Trump was a showman. And that showmanship is something most politicians don't have. He knows how to craft a sentence that's simple, memorable, and hits like a hammer. This style is exactly how branding works. And because the human brain loves things that are simple and repetitive, it works. Trump senses this instinctively and uses it like a tool. Behaviorally, Trump has an unusual level of risk-taking. He doesn't fear crisis, he uses it. Most politicians manage crises, but Trump creates them, amplifies them, and then uses the chaos to gain leverage. This is what experts call chaos leadership, leading through instability. In this approach, the leader deliberately makes the environment unpredictable so they can maintain control. Why? Because when things feel uncertain, people look for someone who appears strong. And Trump always positions himself as the strongest person in the room. Why does this style work? The answer is simple. People fear uncertainty far more than confidence, even if that confidence is wrong. With simple language, a dominant tone, and a confrontational attitude, Trump targets that fear. He gives people a sense of certainty, even when the reality behind it is debatable. This is one of the most controversial aspects of Trump's personality. He treats reality not as a fixed truth, but as raw material, something that can be reshaped if the narrative changes. One of Trump's strangest and most effective abilities is redirecting attention. Whenever the media turns against him, he creates a new crisis, a shocking statement, an unexpected attack, a dramatic tweet, and the media, like a hungry animal, chases the new piece of meat. This technique is known in media psychology as attention hijacking. And Trump is a master of it, not through careful planning, but through instincts developed over decades in television and business. On a more personal level, Trump has a huge need for admiration. Sometimes this need grows so strong that even minor achievements are presented as monumental victories. Psychologists call this compensatory bragging, self-praise used not only to boost image, but to prevent the internal self-image from cracking. Trump doesn't just want to seem big, he doesn't want to feel small for even a second. And yet, he possesses a trait that many leaders lack: operational tolerance for defeat. Not emotional tolerance, operational. Meaning, if he loses somewhere, he shifts direction, he changes the game, he changes the playing field itself. He never lets losing become the end. This is the entrepreneurial spirit inside him. You either win or you find a new way to win. In terms of work style, Trump doesn't believe in complex systems. He prefers decisions that are fast, direct, and without too many layers. He decides in the moment, which can make him appear bold or reckless. But whether people like it or not, this style has one undeniable result: high impact. Quick decisions create quick reactions, and that keeps public attention anchored to him. In negotiation, Trump uses a special approach, the poker strategy. He starts by demanding something huge, creates shock, then pulls back, finally getting the thing he wanted from the beginning while making the other side feel like they won. This technique served him for years in real estate and then followed him into politics. In the end, Trump is a combination of showman, psychological fighter, personal brand, and polarizing leader. A man who broke many traditional political rules but never faded from attention. Whether you're a supporter or a critic, he has a strange ability to occupy mental space. And that mental occupation is the reason he stays relevant, because our brains engage more deeply with characters who are controversial, complex, and unpredictable. Trump isn't a simple color, he is an entire spectrum. And now the final question. Is this style of leadership and personality dangerous for the world? Or is it simply a different kind of charisma and power that we must learn to understand? Do you think someone with this kind of personality can lead a country again? Or will the world react differently this time? Tell me what you think, because this conversation isn't just about Trump. It's about what kinds of personalities end up shaping the world. But to truly understand Trump, we have to go even deeper. Beyond the showman, beyond the businessman, beyond the politician, we have to look at the psychological engine that drives him every single day. And that engine is built on two powerful forces: identity and validation. Trump doesn't just seek success. He seeks confirmation of a story he has been telling himself since childhood. The story that he was born to win. This story wasn't just an ego boost. It was a survival mechanism. Growing up under a father who valued dominance and toughness above everything else shaped Trump into someone who couldn't afford vulnerability. In Trump's world, being wrong is dangerous, being weak is unacceptable, and being average is worse than failure. So what happens? You create a self-image so strong, so exaggerated, that it shields you from the fear of being ordinary. And this is where things get even more fascinating. Trump's personality operates on what psychologists call ego armor. This armor protects him from emotional pain, but it also limits introspection. He doesn't look inward the way most people do. Instead, he moves forward, with force, with instinct, with momentum. It's a survival strategy that has become his identity. This is why Trump rarely apologizes. Not because he doesn't care, but because apologizing feels like tearing the armor open. It feels like danger, and in his mind, danger must always be met with attack, not retreat. That's why every criticism becomes a battlefield, every reporter becomes an enemy, and every political opponent becomes a character in a personal drama he must defeat. But here's the twist. This same armor gives him a psychological advantage. His lack of internal doubt allows him to project absolute certainty. And certainty, whether real or not, is one of the most powerful psychological currencies a leader can possess. People follow certainty. They trust it. They lean on it, even when it scares them. Trump's supporters don't simply support his politics. They respond to the emotional energy he gives off, the confidence, the defiance, the refusal to bow. Many of his followers don't see him as a president. They see him as a symbol of rebellion, someone who fights the battles they feel they can't fight themselves. To them, he's not just a man, he's a narrative, a living story about breaking rules and beating the system. And here lies the contradiction at the heart of Trump. He is both incredibly predictable and completely unpredictable. Predictable because he always chooses dominance over compromise. Unpredictable because no one knows what form that dominance will take. This contradiction creates a psychological loop around him. Enemies stay alert, allies stay energized, and the media stays addicted. Every move he makes generates a reaction. Every reaction amplifies his presence, and that amplified presence reinforces his identity. It's a self-feeding cycle that Trump instinctively knows how to maintain. In many ways, Trump is not operating in the world of politics. He's operating in the world of spectacle. For him, politics is theater, negotiation is performance, leadership is branding, and conflict isn't something to avoid. It's fuel. When the environment is calm, he disrupts it. When the environment is chaotic, he exploits it. This is not accidental. It's psychological strategy. The question now is, does this strategy come from calculation or pure instinct? And the truth is, it's a bit of both. Trump's instincts were shaped by decades of surviving in hyper-competitive environments: New York real estate, celebrity media, and reality television. These environments reward boldness, drama, storyline, and speed. And Trump absorbed all of them into his psychological toolkit. In the next part, we dive even deeper, not just into how Trump behaves, but why people respond to him so strongly. Why do some see him as a hero, others as a threat, and everyone as something they cannot ignore? That's where the real psychology begins. But the real storm around Trump isn't inside his mind, it's inside ours. The world's obsession with him says as much about us as it does about him, because Trump didn't rise in a vacuum. He rose because millions of people were angry, frustrated, unheard, and starving for someone, anyone, who would speak with absolute certainty in a world drowning in confusion. And Trump understood one uncomfortable truth: people don't follow perfection, they follow intensity. This is where the psychology becomes controversial. Trump didn't just gain supporters, he awakened a collective emotion. For some, he became a weapon against a system they believed was rigged against them. For others, he became the symbol of everything dangerous in politics. But either way, he became a gravitational force. He didn't divide America. America was already divided. Trump simply held up a mirror big enough for everyone to see the cracks. And here's the part most analysts don't want to admit. Trump is not the problem. He is the symptom. A symptom of a society that lost trust, lost direction, lost patience. A society that traded nuance for outrage, truth for entertainment, and dialogue for war. Trump didn't invent polarization, he just mastered it. He used it the way a pilot uses wind. He doesn't control the storm, he rides it. But the controversy doesn't end there. Even outside the presidency, Trump changed global politics permanently. Leaders around the world learned something from him, something raw and unsettling. That emotion beats logic, conflict beats calm, and simplicity beats complexity. Trump showed politicians everywhere that a leader doesn't need to be universally loved, only unignorable. He rewrote the rules of power by proving that attention itself is power. Whether you see him as a hero or a threat, Trump became a template, a blueprint for future leaders who understand that the world now rewards boldness, not correctness, volume, not subtlety, spectacle, not diplomacy. Even his critics follow his rhythm. Media networks that publicly condemn him secretly depend on him. Every headline, every scandal, every courtroom appearance, Trump feeds a machine that claims to hate him while profiting from every second of him. And that's the real paradox. Trump is both the fire and the fuel, the storm and the eye of it. But the hardest question comes now, one most people avoid because it cuts too deep. What if Trump is not an exception, but a preview? What if the world is entering an era built for personalities like his? Characters who break rules not because they have to, but because it works? Leaders who understand that people crave emotion more than truth and validation more than stability? If that's true, then Trump isn't just a man from the past. He's a warning for the future. And maybe that's the part that scares people the most. Not what Trump did, not what he said, but what he revealed, that under the right conditions, millions will choose a fighter over a thinker, a performer over a planner, and a symbol over a leader. So the final question isn't who is Donald Trump? The real question is, what does our reaction to him say about us? Because Trump is more than a political figure. He is the test we didn't know we were taking, the mirror we didn't want to look into, and the question we still don't have the courage to answer. And that's why, whether you love him or hate him, one truth remains. Trump isn't just a man. He's a phenomenon we helped create. And phenomena don't disappear. They echo